Back in 1982, in a column I was writing, I raised the question of whether or not public drinking water supplies could be polluted with female hormone residues which might affect the development of male babies. I tried to get television and radio journalists to take up the problem, and I tried to interest politicians in the topic too. But although many were horrified by the idea, all quickly decided that it was far too controversial a subject. It'll frighten people too much, was the common view. However, it wasn't just the possibility of female hormones, residues from the contraceptive pill, which might be causing problems, which worried me. At the time when I first wrote about this subject, now nearly 40 years ago, I was so alarmed by what I'd discovered that I spent over a year doing research before I wrote the article, and my fear was built on several pieces of information. Fact 1. More and more people are taking increasingly powerful medicines such as antibiotics, painkillers, tranquilizers, sleeping tablets, hormones, particularly those in the contraceptive pill, and steroids. Huge numbers of people take drugs every day. Not many people go through a whole year without taking at least one course of tablets. Half the population will take a prescribed medicine today and tomorrow and the day after that. And on top of the prescribed drugs, there are all the non-prescription drugs that are taken, pills bought over the chemist's counter and taken day in and day out. That's fact 1. Fact 2. Many drugs are excreted in the urine when the body's finished with them. For example, up to 75% of a dose of a tranquilizer may be excreted in the urine. With other drugs, the figure can be as high as 90%. Some drugs which are degraded can chemically react with the environment and become active again. Fact 3. After going through standard purification procedures, wastewater is often discharged into freshwater rivers. Fact 4. You can see where this is going, can't you? Fact 4. Drinking water supplies are often taken from freshwater rivers, the same rivers into which the wastewater has been discharged. Fact 5. Water purification programs were designed many years ago before doctors started prescribing vast quantities of drugs for millions of patients, and before the problem of removing drug residues had been thought of. Back in 1982, I felt that someone with even a modest IQ should be able to see where all this was leading. It seemed clear to me that anyone who turned on a tap and made a cup of tea could be getting a cocktail containing leftover chemicals from other people's tranquilizers, sleeping pills, antibiotics, contraceptive pills, heart drugs, anti-arthritis pills, and what have you. So, back in 1982, I wrote that, with an increasing number of people taking drugs, there must be a risk that the drinking water supplies will eventually become contaminated so heavily that people using ordinary drinking water will effectively be taking drugs. Or have we already reached that point, and are people who drink water in certain areas of the country already passively involved in daily drug taking? No one seemed to know the answer to that question. Are you an involuntary drug taker? Could you be addicted to any of the drug residues which might be in your drinking water? Could you be taking regular supplies of bits and pieces of other people's antibiotics? Are you taking contraceptive hormone leftovers? Could these drug leftovers be affecting your fertility? Could they be affecting the health of any unborn children? No one in government still seems concerned by these questions, but there is now plenty of evidence that my original fears were accurate and entirely justified. A publication produced by the Environmental Agency in the UK reported that 50% of the roach in one river had changed sex. Chemicals in treated sewage and factory waste were blamed for upsetting natural fish hormones. The researchers found that the fish were more likely to be affected when they spent time close to a sewage outlet. They also found that fish who lived upstream, away from the sewage outlet, were much less likely to be affected. And apparently the chemicals in sewage which are most likely to affect fish are female hormones such as estrogens. And then, while they were studying lake water for pesticide contamination, Swiss chemists were surprised to find that the lake was polluted with chlorhydric acid, a drug which is used to lower blood cholesterol levels. The possibility that this could have been caused by industrial spillage was ruled out when it was established that chlorhydric acid was not manufactured in Switzerland. When the chemists checked other lakes and rivers, they found low concentrates of the drug everywhere. When researchers in Germany started looking for the same substance, they found the drug in all sorts of water supplies, including tap water. Intrigued, the researchers looked harder and they found lipid-lowering drugs, analgesics, beta-blocker drugs, antibiotics, chemotherapy drugs, and hormones. They found all these drugs in water bodies and in drinking water. And they found that the concentrations were highest in heavy populated areas. Once they'd ruled out industrial spillage, the researchers realized that the drug had come from human body wastes. Exactly what I'd predicted in 1982. The chances are that no one knows what drugs can be found in your drinking water. Why is that? Well, nobody's looking. Most governments don't monitor water supplies to see if they contain drug residues, nor do they want anyone else to do this. But there seems to me little doubt that drinking water is now heavily contaminated with drug residues, and the long-term effect of all this is difficult to estimate. Minute amounts of antibiotics in drinking water can affect bacteria in many different ways. They can surely have a dramatic effect on the development of antibiotic-resistant organisms. There's not, as far as I know yet, any evidence showing a clear link between water pollution and problems such as fertility affecting human beings, but the absence of any such evidence may possibly be the result that, as far as I know, no one's done any research into it. The research would be very simple to do and it wouldn't cost a lot. Scientists would simply count the number of people with fertility problems or some other specific disorder who'd drunk recirculated water and then compare that figure with the incidence of fertility problems among people who'd drunk fresh spring or borehole water. But nobody seems to want to do that research. How are the drugs in your drinking water affecting your health? Is your daily cocktail of tranquilizers, antibiotics, hormones, steroids, chemotherapy drugs, heart drugs, painkillers and so on making you ill? How do all these drugs interact? Are they likely to be at least partly responsible for the increase in cancer? Are they affecting your immune system? Nobody knows. And no one in authority seems to know or want to know, as far as I can find out. Maybe they're frightened to discover the truth. Meanwhile, you'll be comforted and reassured to know that politicians around the world now drink bottled spring water at taxpayers' expense, bottled at source before it has too much chance of becoming contaminated. You won't see me anywhere other than here because I'm banned by all the mainstream media. I'm banned for the sin of having been proved right too many times about a whole range of contentious issues which have embarrassed governments, drug companies and so on. Ask the people you know to watch the videos or visit my website and let's spread some truths. Thanks for watching An Old Man in a Chair and thanks for all your support. I haven't authorized any ads or any sponsorship for this video, and there are no ads or sponsorship on my website www.vernoncoleman.com. If you want to see more videos from me, then please subscribe to my channel because my videos seem tricky to find sometimes. I have no idea why. And let's spread the truth. Thank you for watching.